was our job to help law enforcement.
Is a fucking terrorist, a fucking pedophile, sympathizing fucking terrorist.
Not productive, it's kind of gross and icky, and I feel like it tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
Bruh.
Fuck you. 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 Fuck you.
Prof is a fucking terrorist, a fucking pedophile, sympathizing fucking terrorist.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
It's not productive, it's kind of gross and icky. It's not productive.
Prof is a fucking terrorist.
It's not productive, it's kind of gross and icky, and I feel like it tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
It was our job to help law enforcement. It was our job to help law enforcement. It was our job to help law enforcement. It was our job to help law enforcement.
It's not productive.
Okay, check 1 2. All right, y'all. So welcome in, everyone. It's Friday night. Tonight is Friday, November 7th, 2025. And as soon as I can kill this music, I'll be talking to you. What the hell, bro? All right, so let me see. Press stop, Prof. Press stop. Where is it? All right. Welcome in, everyone. And hey, welcome to the show. Tonight is Friday, like I said, Friday night show. Tonight's show is called Delphi, Jerry, and the Truth, quote unquote, part 3. We're now, I want to say on about page 140 something in the Holman transcript of the deposition that we've been listening to. And so we're almost, halfway. I think we're halfway through. But tonight will be a good one because we'll hit the one we're going to hit tonight. And then I think we'll have one more and that'll cover it. So I'm so glad to see everybody here. Like I said, welcome on in. Boy, it's been an interesting couple days. And I guarantee you it'll be an interesting few more because I've been constantly advertising that I have a Substack article I've been working on, and the problem was it got so long that I had to go and divide it into several installments. So we have that forthcoming, and I think another couple other things this weekend. So it's a good weekend here. So everybody be on the lookout in the next, couple days for a bunch of new stuff and interesting stuff to read and to watch. Anyway, that's what I have to say about that. And let me say hello to everyone here. All my viewers can see people popping up on the chat here on the screen. And so let's see who's in here tonight. Then we'll get right into it. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna go back a while, and I saw that Adrian was here super early. Welcome, Adrian. And we had Dr. Corbo's Feel Good Fun Time Medicine Show in here early. Welcome to you too, sir. And of course, Carla Ann and Goddess are both here super early. And Sweet Dude Shibby. Dennis McKean, hello to you. Good evening to you. All right. Carla Ann. Snoop Sleuth, hello to you. Hey, Snoop Sleuth here. Dieter here. Hey, Dieter. 4 pit bulls across America. Go subscribe to his channel there. 4 pits. All right. Got 4 pits. Lisa. What's up, Lisa? Dieter. Granny D, hello to you. Daisy Ask, pardon, hello to you. Carla Ann, Christina's here. Hey, Christina. Christina. Rebecca Ann, hello, Rebecca. Okay, Daisy Asks. All right. Nicole Watt. Hey, Nicole. Snoop Sleuth. Hey, Dom S. Hello, Dom. Good to see everybody. Okay. And who else we got in here? Marie Kelly. Hello to you. We'll stay as long as you can and watch the replay when you do have time. All right. I think I caught everybody. Oh, no, we still got more to go. Okay. Christina, Adrian. Adrian's driving. Drive carefully. Don't watch the screen. Don't read the chat when you drive. Hey, Granny D. All right. Adrian, I love your video. Haven't finished it yet, but yours and mine are going to hit around the same time. Should have mine posted tonight. All right. Support with Steffa. Hey. Welcome to you, Steffa. Good to see you. And who else is there? The Sunflower Lola. Hello to you. What's up, Sunflower Lola? Mino Dino, welcome to you. Commentator Root, where is he? Okay, Commentator Root. All right, everybody. I think I caught most people. All right. Yeah, so it's Friday, which means you get a rare Delphi show. These are our Friday Delphi. Friday night Delphis. Cherry Pops, hello to you. Okay. So it's been a long day. I got to admit, it's been a goddamn long day. First of all, the weather was pretty nice, and there was a lot to take care of on my end. And then the mail came, and I had some things to take care of with the mail. And I had some things to take care of on the phone, and I had some things to take care of in the kitchen. And then I had a lot to take care of here on the computer. And wow, now it's nighttime. It's evening time in Profland. And so I get to sit down and not quite relax yet because we have to read through some stuff together. And after we read through this together, then I'll actually go relax and take the rest of the night and weekend off. So that sounds good. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Sweet dude, Chibi. Let's see. I have no things set here that should be causing problems, but I'll just keep moving forward. Maybe it's my proximity. I got to be right in front of it to sound clear. What's up, Shaza? What's up, Rotting Jules? What's up, Swade Smith? All right. Good to see everybody. All right. So, hey, Deb, 731. All right. Hey, I don't know what's going on with the audio, but if it cuts out totally, let me know and I'll end the show or something. But it may have to do with proximity effect, but I'm not getting any closer to it. I'm already too close to the computer as it is. I want to sit back and relax, but I have to be able to see the screen to read. So I'm in a catch-22 situation right now. But anyway, I'm glad to see everyone. And hey, welcome. Welcome to a Friday night YouTube live stream in which we're going to take another look at some insane Jerry Holman takeaways. Okay. Anyway, just a moment. All right. So here we are, page 142. Like I thought, page 142, just about. This is where we left off. And hey, I got to say, before we get started, please share this somewhere with your friends in Discord and the text message chain, whatever you got going. Let everybody know we're here so we can get some people in here tonight. We got half of the usual crowd. So where's everyone at? Is it too late on a Friday night? Am I surprising you with how late we're going? But let's get some people in here. This is important information we're about to jump into. What's up, Criminal Network? Fur Baby Daddy? Yeah, what's up, Criminal Network? Fur Baby Daddy? Hello to you. All right. So, yeah, please try to share this, get some people in here because I don't know where everyone's at. We got half our crowd, so where's everyone? This is important stuff. It's probably the most important thing we could be talking about, case related, is this deposition right here. Okay, this is the good stuff. So for anyone who's missed the two previous episodes, go check out Delphi, Jerry, and the Truth, part 1 and 2. Guaranteed, they're mind-blowing. Okay, they're mind-blowing. Remember, in the last episode, part 2, we learned about Brad Rozzi's brother, okay? Brad Rozzi's brother and the FBI and Doug Carter and Jerry Holman getting butthurt, kicking the FBI off the case because of Brad Rozzi's brother, right? Interesting. In the previous episode, we learned a lot about the Anthony Shots connection and things about the Anthony Shots connection that we had never really put together before concretely with receipts in the same way. So this is pretty damning. Remember, this is under oath here. This is a deposition. So that was in Delphi, Jerry, and the Truth, episode 1. So I would highly recommend episode 1, episode 2, and then tonight will be episode 3. So that's what we're doing, all right? So I'm glad to see you all here. We're going to get into it now. So remember, we left off on episode 2 where old McClellan had asked for a break, right? Because the subject matter was getting a little intense. And like he always does, McClellan loves asking for a break when it gets too heavy. Just like at trial, he always wildly objected anytime anything important surfaced in the trial. He always objective, flailing his arms up in the air, and was just a complete maniac. But everyone around this case acts like a complete maniac, right? I don't know if you noticed that. Remember this, I've said before, this is just the murder of two little girls. How odd is it that everyone acts so maniacal? Everyone is such a maniac in this case. Why is it so? Anyhow, as they were getting into this stuff, of course, McClellan asked for a break, and that's where we left off at the end of episode 2. So here we are. We're diving in now when they're coming back from the break, okay? And so we're looking at the middle of the page here, page 142. And Razi says, we're back on the record, State versus Richard Allen. We took kind of a short lunch break. We're still in the process of conducting the deposition of Officer Holman. Officer Holman, I just had, obviously over the break, I had a couple of thoughts come to mind that I didn't ask you about. One of them is we talked about voice analysis earlier. Do you remember me, or do you remember talking about that? I do. Okay, so he says, let's kind of revisit that. So with this particular video, I forgot now, 43 seconds, is that right? Sounds about right. We're all talking about the same video from the High Bridge? Yes. Is that the only video you're aware that exists? Yes. And is that the totality of the video? Yes. In that video, there were some words that were spoken. Down the hill were kind of the most notable ones. Mm-hmm. You're generally familiar with that? I am. Was there ever any conclusions drawn about who it was that was speaking those words? The words you mentioned? Yes. About, hey, girls down the hill? Yeah. The person on the bridge that they encountered, which we believe is Richard Allen. And do you agree with me that when you watch that video, there's really no way to tell if the person on the bridge is actually speaking words from a movement standpoint on the video? Yeah, that's correct. I mean, just to make sure we agree generally on the facts, like you can't see his mouth moving or the person's mouth moving or whatever, right? That's correct. When he talks, the video is pointing toward the ground. Was there ever any discussion about the possibility that the sound could have come from somebody else? No. Put the brakes on there. Okay, you guys remember, we're not only are we talking about detectives, we're talking about a unified command of several agencies, right? A collective of high-ranking detectives is what that should mean. Professionals. So are you telling me that this group of high-ranking professionals, these elite detectives in Indiana, from several agencies and jurisdictions, they never discussed the possibility that the voice on the recording could have come from someone else other than who they termed as bridge guy? I mean, dude, we've had more discussions of substance in faculty meetings about elementary kids. This is a double homicide of two little girls, and you're not altogether, at least at any point, at one point over 7-8 years, you're not at any point having a meeting are having a discussion about the possibility that maybe the voice that you hear on that recording is not the voice of the man that you saw previously? Moving on. Nobody even thought about that possibility? At least in the context of your unified command meetings? No. Hello, feds. He's not even ashamed of it. No one in unified command even thought about the possibility that the sound could have come from someone else, much less discussed it. So you were just making the assumption that the sound came from that particular individual? I think a realistic view would be the person that encountered them during that. Like you said, it was only 43 seconds. So there was no other people around in the video at the time. So it had to come from Libby, Abby, or the man on the bridge. What? Are you kidding me? The video is only 43 seconds. It never looks behind them. We don't know if they were with a larger group of people. I have a reason to believe, I would suspect that they were rendezvousing with other people in that footage, which means if they're with one or two or three other individuals, including male and female, who are behind them, therefore don't get caught up in the camera, it could very well have been someone else whose voices you hear. And I would also say whose shadows you see. Remember when we studied the shadows in that, remember you and I all together, we deeply studied the audio and the video. And when we looked at the shadows, we couldn't really determine if those were the shadows of the girls or not at all times. And remember, when I discovered the fact that it appeared that Libby, if that's who was holding the camera, but the person who appears to be holding the camera, that shadow clearly shows that there are loose fitting sweatpants on, because you can see that there's something blowing in the wind. And the only kind of pants that blow in the wind like that are baggy sweatpants, not blue jeans, not any other kind of pant. Baggy sweatpants that are ill-fitting will blow in the wind like that. But remember, we couldn't even determine, we could not exclude that anyone else was there. There's a good possibility that there was one, two, or three other people with them. It's hard to tell. But these geniuses didn't even give it a thought, much less a discussion. There was not a single meeting on this. It's possible. I mean, we can get into this likely versus possible argument, which cops and lawyers do all the time, but it's possible there could have been somebody that wasn't in the video that was speaking to. Realistically, no, but possibly yes. Okay, so he's admitting possibly yes. But not even a discussion among these elite detectives from multiple agencies. This video is not helpful in some regards because it doesn't give us a panoramic view of what was going on. It's very helpful, but it would have been more helpful if it had a panoramic view. Yeah. And so I'm going to close this up by just asking this last question. Just from a technological standpoint, you weren't able to somehow connect that sound from that particular person on the bridge? No. We got him on the record with that one. See, that's a good one from line 16 to 21 here. So from a technological standpoint, you weren't able to somehow connect the sound from that person on the bridge. No. Let's talk about other suspects. Okay, let's start with Ron Logan. You're familiar with Ron Logan? Yes. Was Ron Logan a suspect in this case? Yes. And is it fair to say that there was a collective approach to investigating him as a suspect? In other words, all the agencies were participating in that? Yes. He was garnering that much interest, basically, that you were all kind of throwing all your resources at that? Yes. Was there a point in time when Ron Logan was definitively excluded as a suspect in this case? I believe so, yes. You see, he knows that he's on the record. So that's a caveat. That's a caveat. I believe so. Because belief is what you're here to testify about. Your beliefs are the facts. Just checking. When did that occur? I don't know the exact time, but he obviously becomes a prime suspect when we find 2 homicide victims on your property. So therefore, we started looking into Ron Logan, a collective. And again, this is me as a supervisor. I did not interview him. I may remember some people that did. I didn't participate in the search warrant, although I went there to, what does he say? Took the guys, water, whatever. But I remember being briefed on Logan. But what I remember being briefed on was Ron Logan went that day, the morning of around 11:53-ish, to drop off trash at what they call the transfer station, which is the dump. And he was there about 5-10 minutes. Yeah, you know why? Because he was getting rid of all of the evidence of the party at his house the night before that moved on over to the cemetery over the course of the night. Okay, so Ron gathered all the evidence of that party, all the litter from those folks. Once he kicked them off to the cemetery, he gathered all that shit up, put it in trash bags, and brought it over to the dump to get rid of the evidence of the partying at his property the night before. It's the cemetery party, the pig roast, right? All right, so he went back to his house around noon, we believe. Later on, I'm unclear if he actually called a cousin or the cousin actually came over. But a cousin. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but because Ron Logan was, I believe, HTB or driving while suspended. He was on probation. He would drive anyway, and he would always have a cover story if he got caught or whatever. And he ended up going to a fish store in Lafayette where they have him buying some fish. And I think it was 4:44 was the time of the receipt or whatever. It might have been that they didn't change the clock, so it might have been closer to 5:55. Or do you mean 5:44, you dumbass? You see what he did there? Jerry Holman got a simple brain. 4:44. Yeah, if it's an hour off, it's 5:55. But see, Ron was specifically building an alibi, is my opinion at this point in time. Okay. First, he got rid of the evidence by bringing it to the dump. Okay. Then he skedaddled and went over to the fish store to get the fuck out of Dodge, create an alibi for himself. But then he went back home. He made some comments on his phone dump. We see that he's telling people that he got new fish and put them in the aquarium and letting them acclimate. So with all that, it would have been very difficult with the time frame for him to be able to, go out there and do what he did. Hold on, let's reread that. That's a little, is that a Freudian slip? That's a little weird. So with all that, it would have been very difficult with the time frame for him to be able to, go out there and do what he did.
Oh my God!
Uh-huh.
Bruh.
So we believe with the time frame and with other information that we did everything else we could, search warrants, phone dumps, and all that. There was no evidence located indicating that he was involved in murdering Abby and Libby. That sounds like a press release, dude. Like, that's the thing. He was creating this alibi. So this alibi that Jerry is giving him is the one he created. Look at here, this entire page 147. This is his entire fucking alibi, right? This entire page. And then Jerry Holman gives him that after he describes it. And then, as you know, he died. He passed away. A couple weeks after that, Unified Command decided to have Jay Harper, who did a lot with Ron Logan, him and the FBI contact his son and see if maybe he said anything incriminating to his son. He said no. His son in an interview stated that he would not go out on that bridge. He was deathly afraid of heights. He wouldn't let him go to that area of property because it was too dangerous. So just the totality of the circumstances, we believe that Ron Logan was not involved. That's the exact reason you believe Richard Allen is involved, right? This is what you all constructed to say about Richard Allen. It's not one thing, it's the totality of the circumstances. So it's all the totality of circumstances that you claim clear Ron Logan and implicate Richard Allen? There's just no evidence indicating his involvement. Yeah, well, what you're giving away, you see, he's giving away the fucking game here. Let's go back to it. This is where he gives away the game. He says, because remember, to these people, it didn't matter if it's justice. It didn't matter if it's right or wrong. If you got the right person, the wrong person, all the people, one of the persons, it doesn't matter. None of these details matter to these guys. All they want to do is put someone in prison for this crime by any means necessary with whatever kind of probable cause they can develop to get this monkey off their back. But look at how he kind of confesses to that. He says, so with all that, it would have been very difficult with the time frame for him to be able to, go out there and do what he did. So we believe with the time frame and other information that we did everything else we could. We did everything we could, search warrants, phone dumps, and all that. And there was no evidence located indicating that he was involved. Therefore, that means that even if he was involved, you just could not get it into documentation enough to have a probable cause to go and arrest him. But you were able to put that all together enough to get Richard Allen, whether or not this is justice or not. So because he's no longer alive and you've talked to his son, you kind of cleared him. Oh my God, dude. Sometimes, sometimes he get, sometimes he gets him. He got him. So because he's no longer alive and you talk to his son, you kind of cleared him. He's not part of any ongoing investigation. Before we stopped the investigation, once we determined that timeline. So once you believed his alibi, you stopped investigating him. Jesus Christ. I guess his little alibi creation scheme worked on you fucking doofuses. After the search warrant, we searched his house for a full day and no evidence. Yeah, because he got rid of it all. Did you ever discover that he had any connection with either one of those girls? No. Or my client? No. Oh, so no connection. Thanks for giving us that one, Jer. So no connection to Richard Allen. Richard Allen has no connection to Ron Logan or anyone else in this case, by the way. Was there any forensic evidence that in any way connected him with that scene? No, no evidence whatsoever. Whether it be like DNA evidence, fingerprints, or even digital forensic evidence? No. Oh, is that true? Is that true? Didn't his phone ping right around the crime scene? Do you recall administering a polygraph or him participating in a polygraph? I remember he did participate. I don't remember. I think it was John Eager, and he used a different technique. It wasn't approved by the FBI and state police, and they were like, let's not have him do polygraphs anymore. What? Are you admitting he did something inappropriate? Again, this page 149, line 17. I think it was John Eager, and he used a different technique that wasn't approved by the FBI and state police. And the FBI and state police were like, let's not have him do polygraphs anymore. Bruh. Hello? He did a few, but I don't know what the technique is because I'm not a polygraph examiner, but I know he stopped asking or using. I know we stopped using Mr. Eager because of that. He was adamant that he was showing deception on some of the questions. Hello? Again, hello? Mr. Eager with his roughneck tactics was adamant that Ron Logan was showing deception on some of the questions. But we'd have to get that report. Oh, yeah, you don't say. You don't say. Whoops. I guess we also don't have that, right? But we'd have to get that report. I wasn't involved in that. So Mr. Eager was used, and he was only used for this purpose, this one polygraph, or did he? No, I believe he did some others, and he was using a different technique. And after reviewing, I didn't, but after other officers reviewed it, they said, hey, this isn't right. They talked to, I think, Matt Collins and Seth Thompson and some other polygraph examiners, and they said, yeah, he's using this different technique. It's not reliable. Is this like you're trying to explain away the fact that the results of Logan's polygraph where deception was indicated? Because honestly, I've never heard you critique another officer except the FBI in general for pointing the finger at Brad Rossi's brother. But this is funny that in this instance, because he determines Ron Logan is showing deception, now suddenly no one wants him on the team, and his information is not reliable, and you don't know you'd have to get that report. It's not reliable. Who did this guy work for? Now, here's an interesting one. West Lafayette PD. Oh my God. Bruh. How long did he work for them? I don't know, probably a while. So the West Lafayette Police Department that was using a polygraph examiner that was employing a technique that was not acceptable to other examiners you worked with? That's correct. Now I don't know if he used that during their investigations. Oh, there we go. Plausible deniability. Let's. Yeah, it's a moving target. With you see this? It's always a moving target. Is he still working there? Mm-hmm. What is hum? What is hum, Holman? Yes? Yes. You'll never use him again, right? No. We try to use, because of what you learned about this circumstance. Right, and we try to use our own. It's just more convenient. Mr. McClellan, oh, it's okay. It's okay if we take a break for a minute. Now just remember, they just got back from a lunch break, right? They just get back from a lunch break. We're only 2, 3, 4 pages in. And this shit about Ron Logan's polygraph is so disturbing or unsettling or uncomfortable for dipshits that McClellan has to freak out, like I said, maniacally ask for a break. And sure, discussion off the record. Okay, discussion off the record. So Razi says, so this gentleman conducted other exams in the case, and there became a point when you were concerned about the technique he was using. So essentially, you chose not to use him anymore? Yes. I mean, some people would say he kind of got fired, but he's still working for the Lafayette Police Department. Right. So the results you were getting from the exams were apparently raising some suspicions about the technique. I'm not sure exactly what raised the suspicion about the technique, but I think it was a new technique that he learned. I don't know the specifics. All I know is after some other officers reviewed these, they brought it to our attention, Unified Command, and said the FBI and state police recognized that this wasn't a proper technique and asked us not to use him anymore. And we agreed, and Unified Command agreed that we weren't going to use him in that capacity. Big words. He's starting to come with the big words. You know what that means? Every time he comes with the big words, it's insecurity. Okay, he's compensating for his own insecurity and guilt. I don't know if he did a couple after that or before. I don't know how many he did, but we could definitely find out. I just don't know. And remember, y'all, Lafayette PD is the agency that had contracted with Gray Media, who also contracted with Allen County Superior Court to do PR and media production. Okay, think of the trifecta. It's a triangle. It's an incestuous loop. It's Gray Media, Lafayette Police Department, and Allen County Superior Court, Judge Gold's own court. This is the same company that struck or claimed copyright on the bridge guy video that was, I guess, suspiciously released on a third-party website and is being suspiciously withheld by Judge Gold's court. In other words, she has determined for some odd reason that the bridge guy video exhibits are deemed confidential exhibits. Now, you tell me, why are those deemed confidential? How odd is it that gray media would strike individuals who posted that video from this third-party website, who gray media also coincidentally has contracts with Lafayette Police Department and Allen County Superior Court to produce media content and public relations? No one sense anything a little off? I mean, it's beginning to look like Lafayette is the problem with the Delphi case. If you really want to know my opinion, it smells to me like the real nexus is a Lafayette. That's where Jerry Holman is emanating from. That's where the Lafayette PD obviously is emanating from. It smells to me like Lafayette, Indiana is a huge nexus to the power players in this cover-up. Anyway, moving on. So presumably then you would have called Ron Logan and said, hey, we need to do this again because we just went through this and our technique wasn't appropriate. I think as the investigation furthered, here we go with big words again. Remember, I said if he uses words like investigation, unified command, you know, those big words means he's uncomfortable and he's bullshitting you. I think as the investigation furthered with the information, see, it's pompous. I already told you, we didn't feel it necessary to do another polygraph. We had enough information that wouldn't put him in that area. It would have been very, 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 wow, what the fuck? Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would have been very, 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 very difficult for him to be able to be in all those places. Oh, so his alibi worked. I guess his alibi worked, right? Because we're assuming that we know the time frame and that this very small limited time frame is when this happened, and he happened to be at a fish store, because you're not giving thought to the fact that this could have happened at an earlier time frame or later time frame or both. So you didn't re-examine him? Not to my knowledge. You didn't even try, really? No, I don't think so. Did you talk to his son only one time? I never talked to his son. Jay Harper did. Your team. We talked to him multiple times. Were there any lay witnesses that communicated to you that they felt that Ron Logan was responsible for this to the extent that it had some substance to it? I know there might be some in Georgia or Alabama or Utah or something. We had tips on him, but it was a general tip that we got a lot. We got on a lot of people. He looks like him, sounds like him. That was pretty much else. That was pretty much it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. What about Reese Davis? Because this is bullshit. Because it's 2017 and you motherfuckers go to Reese Davis because of what Ron Logan told him. And you didn't want to hear what he had to say. There'll be more on that later. Do you agree? I'm sorry. When you were comparing Ron Logan's movements with the circumstances at the trail, you concluded that Essentially, he had, I'm going to say, an alibi for your time frame? Yes. Do you agree to the extent that this could have happened later in the evening? That he actually was out of his property during that time period? I think all the evidence, here we go with big words from Jerry Holman again. All the evidence indicates it happened between 2:30 and 3:30. All the evidence, quote unquote, indicates, quote unquote, that it happened between 2:30 and 3:30. Bullshit. Well, I'm talking hypothetically. Hypothetically, if it happened at night, then yes, Ron Logan could have been there. Was there anybody that was able to account for his whereabouts at the time? No, other than his phone data showed him at home. He lived alone, right? He lived alone. So he didn't have a wife that said, oh, you know, we were watching some sitcom or Netflix or anything. No, he did not. Did anyone that either knew Ron Logan or was a family member of Ron Logan tell you or your team that he was a violent man, that he had violent tendencies? I don't know a family member. I know that there were some ex-girlfriends, if you call them that said that when he was drinking, he would become verbally abusive. I don't know if those ever got physical. I don't recall that. But we did have some information that he had a little mean streak in him. Yes. Yeah, I also think he had a perverted streak. What about guns and knives? Do you own guns? He did. Actually, we did 2 search warrants. So initially when this happened, I know it was a detective, A.J. Smith from the state police, that was looking into him driving, and he was on probation. So we did a probation check and we took quite a few guns. None of them matched that caliber or make that we believe expended that round. What about knives? I don't recall him having a lot of knives, but I'd have to look. I believe there were, but I'd have to check. I know that we took some long guns. I can't remember handguns, but I do know from the briefs that nothing matched what we were looking for. Did you know Ron Logan to be associated with any extremist groups? You know, ritualistic type groups or anything like that? No. Whatsoever? Not to my knowledge, no. Keegan Kline. Keegan Kline, a man that's fresh, a human that's fresh on everybody's radar. So he was a suspect? Yes. And is he still a suspect? I think he's suspected of communicating with the girls, like I said, but the evidence through our investigation indicates that he was not in the area during the time of the homicides. Well, that's contrary to what everyone else says, including himself. The evidence through our investigation, unified command and structure, and investigation. He was not in the area during the time of the homicides. What's the proof of that? What's the proof of that? And he was kind of like Ron Logan, another person where there was considerable resources from all of your agencies that were directed towards him. Yeah. Did Keegan Kline ever admit that he actually participated in this crime? I mean, that he knowingly, willingly played some role in this crime? Yes.
Oh my God. Bruh. I'm legally blind.
Did Keegan Kline ever admit that he actually participated in this crime, knowingly, willingly played some role in this crime? Yes. This is not, contrary to the troll farm, this is not rumors. This is a deposition under oath from the lead detective. He admitted to setting up a meeting with his dad and the guy in Delphi initially, Ron Logan. He changed his story and said that it was him and his dad and Ron Logan. And he said that he rode over to the bridge and his dad went to meet the girls and he stayed in the Jeep. I believe it was a red Jeep, which we located that Jeep, searched it, didn't find anything, any evidence indicating anything that Keegan said. He also said they threw some items off the bridge. We searched the bridge, found no items. We had used every, here we go, big words, investigative technique that we could to try to find evidence indicating that he was involved, and we could not, other than he admitted being Anthony Shots and communicating with the girls and setting the meeting up.
Oh my God!
You see, they were so bloodthirsty to get Richard Allen convicted for this crime. They ignored the literal elephant in the room.
I'm legally blind.
Do you have any doubt in your mind that he was Anthony Shots? No. Kind of alter ego or whatever phrase they use in pop culture these days? No, no doubts. In fact, he was basically in some ways kind of admitted indirectly to some of that recently in Miami County, right? Yes. Was there ever a time you definitively excluded him because of an alibi? No. What?
Oh my God!
Bruh. No alibi, but then you said that you go back here to line 5 and 6 here on page 156. The evidence through our investigation indicates that he was not in the area during the time of the homicides. But then you go to here, lines 20 and 21 of page 157, next page. Was there ever a time when you definitively excluded him because of an alibi? No. It's kind of gross and icky.
It's not productive. It's kind of gross and icky.
Yeah.
I'm legally blind.
It's kind of an odd question because he's not giving you an alibi. He's saying he's there. Like, he's not giving you an alibi. He's giving you a confession. And he hasn't just given you a confession. He's given all kind of people confessions. So has Ron Logan, but you've ignored all of that and all of the other ones. And you took Richard Allen's when he was forced medicated and in the height of a psychotic episode. Kind of an odd question because he's not giving you an alibi. He's saying he's there, but I assume you were working the reverse angle to vet his. What the fuck is the reverse angle? To vet his credibility? Right. Right. It's a circus, man. That's why I asked the question. Right. I understand your question. So the reason that we eliminated, there he goes with big words again. Hey, big words. Eliminated him from actually being at the crime scene is because we know he didn't ride with his dad on the route that he took because the video shows. We also know that he is actively downloading child porn on his phone at a residence in Peru during the time that we believe. There's that word again. There's that word again. We believe the crimes occurred at this time. So, in other words, they give Kagan the alibi because of their belief of when this crime occurred. They give Ron Logan the alibi because of their belief when this time has occurred. So and they pin it on Richard Allen because of their belief when this occurred. But remember, the fucking medical examiner could not pin down a time of death whatsoever. There's possibly up to a 44-hour window or something. I don't know if anyone in the chat could help me out on that. What's the window he gave? I mean, it's in the 40-hour time frame. Can't determine how far apart the girls died in time from each other, or how far apart they died from the time their bodies were discovered. So you know jack shit about their times of death. Or if you did know, you covered it up and you hid it. So how can you say that at the time they're murdered, Ron Logan's excluded because he's shopping for fish, and Keegan Kline's excluded because he's downloading kiddie porn? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And they wonder why the public has such an issue with this conviction, or such an issue believing their bullshit that they pulled on this case. They wonder why. Like, forget all of the obvious fucking basic terrorizing that goes on out here in this world around this case. Like the large number, the dozens of people who've been terrorized over this case. Forget that. Just the fact that they've done this in the people's faces and the people can see it and are not happy with it. And they wonder why? It's blatant and in your faces. This is why. So you have some digital forensic evidence that he was active on the computer, his phone, as you said, at the time you believe these things occurred. During the time frame that we believe these crimes occurred, yes, he was actively using his phone. Do you know the location of the phone when it was being used? Yes. Is this through the geofencing technique? Forgive me if I'm misunderstanding you. The question is, do you know the location of the phone? Yes. When he was actively using it? Yes. Where? At his residence in Peru. How do you know that? Through the forensic evidence, I was told that they could find out through phone records that it was being actively used in that area with the data. I can't explain geofence data dump. I know I was given a report orally, not a written report. Wonder what else he was given orally. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Bruh. Okay. I was told that he was on his phone in Peru at his residence. Did you go back to Keegan Kline after you learned this information and have another communication, a meeting with him? Yes, we did. What was his explanation for your findings? He had no explanation for it. Did he continue to acknowledge his responsibility for part of this? He changed his story quite a bit, but yes. So in other words, see, that gets a little convoluted. So let's interpret that properly. Did he continue to acknowledge his responsibility? This is Keegan Kline. Did he continue to acknowledge his responsibility for part in this crime, even when you confronted him about the downloading child porn at the time of you believe this happened? Yes, he changed his story quite a bit, but yes. But it was consistent in that he said he was there, that his dad did. That his dad did it. Did he ever ask you specifically for any consideration, as we say in the business, in exchange for the information he was giving you? He wanted to be put in the witness protection program. Now think about that. Because we need everyone to exercise as much critical thinking as possible. So this is interesting. So Kagan Klein wanted to be put into the witness protection program? He never asked for any consideration like you're talking about as far as plea bargains. There were some discussed, but he didn't give us any information we could verify. But he was wanting basically to give this information to get put on a witness protection program. Well, let's revise that in a way, because we know there was a plea offer that was made. We do know that. Okay, that's factual. So this is bullshitting. Okay, this is bullshitting. There was a plea deal offered, but when you polygraphed him, it showed deception. So that offer was retracted, but he still asked to be put in protection. Maybe because he didn't want to be a chomo. Do you think it's because he didn't want to be a chomo in prison and get beat up? Why would Kagan Klein be asking to be put into witness protection for the Delphi murders? Is he afraid of getting beat up because he's a chomo, or is he afraid of something else? Maybe the real killers. What if the real killers are still out and he's afraid of them? So he wants to be put in a protected environment so they can't get to him for snitching. I don't know. I think it's something to keep in mind. You know, there's a lot to keep in mind, but this is another one to put in your notebooks. Keep in mind that he is asking, bottom line, to be put in witness protection. So there was no agreement between you and he or his representative that if he sat and talked to you, he was going to get A, B, C in return? Not me. The prosecutor might have made. No, he did make. You're talking about Sinkovics? No, Prosecutor McClelland. He probably communicated with Jeff Sinkovics. Yes, of course they did. They were all communicating because they were dual prosecuting. And you guys remember Jeff's brother Dennis was highly involved in this entire commentary on the Delphi murders. You remember Dennis Sinkovics is Jeff's brother. Jeff was a prosecutor of Keegan Klein for the kiddie porn over in Miami County, and McClelland was the prosecutor for Delphi, and they were both trying to triangulate this guy. And for whatever reason, they made some kind of triangulation in a fucking smear and cover up. All right. Do you know that? I know there was communications. In other words, communications between Nicholas McClelland and Jeff Sinkovics and Keegan Klein. There was a communication, a feedback loop happening. But I don't know of any pleas, deals that were struck, right. So at the time that your team sat down with him and talked to him, you're not aware of any deals that were made that he would get something in return for providing information, whether accurate or not accurate? No. Why are you kind of hesitating? Uh-oh, he's hesitating. Getting a little nervous here. So see, I'm not interpreting it properly because I should be hesitating and playing the role of Doughboy Holman. So he wasn't getting anything in return for providing information, whether accurate or not accurate. No. Why are you kind of hesitating? At one point, I know the prosecutor was going to offer him immunity, but I think that's different from what you're asking. That's why I'm kind of hesitating. As far as, hey, if you communicate, we'll give you this many years or whatever. I wasn't involved in any of that. So, immunity from what? Immunity from the entire if he was involved in Delphi, the Delphi murders of Abby and Libby, you were going to offer him immunity for his part in the murders? Smells like desperation or weirdness. You're desperate to close sounds like you're desperate to close a case. But instead, you go ahead and put it on Richard Allen's head. It's fine. Option B. Option A. Option A, Kagan Klein. Option B, Richard Allen. Now that he's in jail, now that he's convicted, has there been any attempt to reach out to his legal representatives to forward your investigation in any way? Not yet. You still think that possibly may happen? Yes. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me show you something, okay? I have to show you the date of this, right? The date. August 10th, 2023. Okay, hello. I need y'all to think of the date that we're talking about here.
Oh my God.
Bruh. So you mean to tell me in August of 2023, you think that this still may happen, that there may be an attempt to reach out to his representatives to forward your investigation? Yes. August 2023, you're still considering reaching out to Keegan Klein to get a plea deal with the Delphi murders. Why is it that you would want to do that at this point? I think you always want to give him a second chance, or in this case, maybe a fifth, sixth chance to be honest and make things right if he knows anything. So the idea is, if he's been sitting for a while now on this other case, he might come up with a different version because he's seeing the world differently now. Well, I think his world has changed. He was in a luxury Miami County, and now he's in a correctional facility, which is obviously different people there. I don't know what goes through their minds when they get there, but I think he knows it's for real now. Maybe if he does have any information. Excuse me. Do you know if he's filed an appeal in this case? I do not know that, no. Do you know where he is? RDC Regional. Let's talk about Tony Klein. Was he a suspect in the case at any point? Yes. And all these agencies still working his angle too? Yes. Again, everyone, again, date, August 10th, 2023, August 2023, August of 2023. Tony Klein. All these agencies still working his angle too? Yes. Was there a point in time when he was definitively excluded? I think so. I mean, we exhausted all other efforts. Tell me how that happened. At this time, with the information we have, we can't put him in Delphi or on the bridge. He was through the forensic evidence that we got through the digital phone data. He also was given a polygraph, and there's no evidence. We searched his house. We searched his phone. Like I said, there's no evidence indicating his involvement. So see the deal? Again, they need what they can gather to build a probable cause affidavit. That's what they're interested in. Closing cases with paperwork, not solving cases, not justice for these victims, just closing the damn case. Remember, this is August 2023. This happened in February of 2017. Did he have an alibi on that particular day that you were able to confirm? I don't recall. I think he had an alibi, but I can't recall. Dave Vito would be a great person to ask anything about Keegan and Tony Klein related. Do you recall him taking a polygraph? I do. What do you recall the result to be? Like I said earlier, he passed the polygraph, or did I say that earlier? I thought I did. You referenced it, but I don't remember what you said. Yeah. Was this polygraph conducted by this examiner in Lafayette? No, it was not. New technique? No. It was Matt Collins, I believe, with the state police. Was Tony Klein cooperating with you all at all times during the investigation? Not all times, but I don't think any defendant cooperates all the time. Defendant? That's sort of another weird slip. Tell me what you remember about him not cooperating. I mean, he showed up and we talked to him. He lied to us quite a bit. He lied to us quite a bit about we had surveillance on him. And when we called him, he said he was working when he was actually out in his garage drinking a beer because we had surveillance on him. So he lied to us. So I think that's not cooperative. If you're lying to the police, I don't think you're cooperating. He lied to you about little stuff? Little stuff, yeah. Multiple times when we confronted him about his involvement, he would stop cooperating or just get up and walk out, things like that. I can't remember if we got consent to search his house or if we had a search warrant. I believe it was a search warrant. Did you ever know, was there ever any, I'll call it forensic connection made between Tony Klein and these girls, digital forensic information? No. Were you able to determine definitively that Tony Klein was not utilizing his son's devices? No. There's still that possibility? That's a possibility. Those two were living in the same house a short period of time, yeah. They were living together during that time frame, but then Keegan moved out. And when you say during that time frame, in the weeks leading up to this circumstance, the murder, yes. February 13th incident, yes.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, bruh.
Bruh.
Do you know, or is there any information that suggests that Keegan Klein had any connection with any kind of hate groups, extremist groups, or anything of that nature? No, not to my knowledge. Again, I'll guess the same question with regard to Tony Klein. No, not to my knowledge, no. What about Dave Liebert? Do you know Dave Liebert? Personally, no. All right, so we're moving on to the Lieberts.
I'm legally blind.
Was Dave Liebert ever a suspect in this case? Yes. And tell me why he was a suspect. The location where he lived, we called him the gatekeeper. What the fuck? Gatekeeper? Bruh, it's not bad enough. We have the Oracle of Delphi. We have Abigail Williams. We have Liberty German. We have staging. Like, you got a fucking gatekeeper? A gatekeeper?
It's not productive. It's kind of gross and icky. And I feel like it tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
A gatekeeper. There's a gate. We called him a gatekeeper. There's a gate that you have access to go back to Weber's property. And when we were out there, we were following up on the investigation. Like, other officers were like, this guy is the gatekeeper, because he would let them in and out of that. He was interviewed, and I don't recall by who. His wife was interviewed. He cooperated for the most part until we asked for consent on a couple things. I do believe we searched his residence. I'd have to refer to reports to tell you anything about that search. Offered him a polygraph, and I think he denied taking the polygraph. That's all I know about that. Yeah, we're talking about Dave Liebert. Dave Liebert, the gatekeeper. Oh, my God.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ, man. So when you say he wasn't cooperative, one of the things was the polygraph? Yeah. Help me out a little bit here. Maybe you can answer this. So that road, you said he was the gatekeeper, right? That road goes to the back. So I guess kind of to the north, northeast, I think towards the river. Oh, the Pison? I mean, these motherfuckers. Okay. And then it goes more towards the east. The east. And then goes more towards the east. I think it kind of winds around the bank. It's platted as a county road. Is it your opinion that that's a private drive? That's what I believe. I know there's a big sign there, but I've seen people put signs up in their yard when they didn't have the right to do that. Let me ask you this question. Have you dealt with access to that roadway? I've had access to it. I've been there, but I always thought it was a private drive to Mr. Weber's house. Were you getting permission to go on there when you were? Yes. Or were you just going on because I'm a police officer? No, we would contact the Webers. I believe the mom has a different name, so Brad Weber. And his mom is remarried, but I can't remember her name. But we'd always call them and ask them, and they told us that anytime we needed to go there, they didn't like the media or other people going out there, but law enforcement there pretty much would cooperate and let us go out there anytime. But common courtesy, we would always try to notify them where we were going. Did Dave Liebert have an alibi for that day? Yes, I believe his wife. Oh my God, what?
Oh my God.
That's an alibi, I guess. They were together at home. Yes. So he was in the vicinity for sure? Mm-hmm. Shaking your head, yes? Yes. Your position is his alibi was his wife saw him sitting on the couch or whatever?
I'm legally blind.
I don't know the exact specifics, but yes. Did you ask her to take a polygraph? Me personally, no. Whoever was the investigators, I believe they did, and neither one of them. I'd have to look at a list, but off the top of my head, I don't think either one of them took a polygraph. But we just believe him. We give them an alibi. We exclude them from the POIs or suspects list. And then we call him the gatekeeper. Do you know if you asked her, and maybe I missed this, but you asked her and she wasn't willing, or she just didn't? I don't think they obtained an attorney, and the attorney advised them not to. No, I think they obtained an attorney and the attorney advised them not to, if I recall. Are you familiar with any hate groups? You know, extremist groups that Dave Liebert was associated with? No. Jimmy Dale Duvall. Do you know who that is? Yes. And do you know Jimmy Dave Duvall personally? No. You just know him from this investigation? Yes. Was he a suspect in this case? Yes. And tell me why. We received quite a few tips on him. I can't remember where he worked. I think over at Chrysler, maybe. Who else worked at Chrysler? Come on, y'all. Who else worked at? Remember, Packers, Chrysler. He had taken the day off that day. And so a lot of people from Chrysler were calling in tips on him and saying he shaved his head. He got a haircut. He shaved his head, changed his appearance, and was off that day. So they assumed he did it. I think he had a criminal history that people knew about. And I don't know exactly what it was, but I think it was something to do with underage girls. But I'd have to refer to that.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Bruh.
We got a lot of tips on sex offenders and things like that early on. But Jimmy Duvall cooperated. His alibi was his mother. His mother said he was home. He worked on his vehicle all day. Mom confirmed that he was home from like 12 to 6. And then she doesn't know for sure, but never saw him left. But he was pretty much all day and he had an alibi. And it was his mother. Let me ask you this as kind of a broad-based question. So every time your team, I'll say, worked an alibi, it was always, it sounds like, based on what occurred between 12 and let's say 5 p.m. on that day. Well, we had a time frame. I think it was a little bit bigger than that. How much bigger? I don't recall. I think it was maybe more like a couple hours either way, like 11 to 6, something like that. Yeah. Not into the dark hours, so to speak? No. With Jimmy Dale Duvall, do you know if he took a polygraph? I don't think he did. No, I don't remember. Do you know if he was asked? I'm going to say that we kind of had a strategy. Oh, here we go. Here we go with Big Word Holman. Big Word Holman. Investigation. Unified command. Strategy. He had a strategy. So if it was state police, and I can't remember with Duvall, asked for consent to get DNA and asked for consent to search anything digital, asked them to take a polygraph. If you can't confirm their alibi, we could confirm a lot of people's alibis. So this one was obviously not as solid as others. But they would interview that person, say, hey, he was here. She did get interviewed. I remember that. I don't know by who. So we had a process that detectives were supposed to, but they're humans. We know how that works. But if they follow investigation, strategy, unified command, but if they follow the process that he was offered, but I don't think he took one. He may have. See what I mean, y'all? Bullshit central. I wish there was a shit. Can we please get a shit sound effect? Like a huge, big shit sound effect that I can just dump on this fucking page right here. Okay, was he associated with any extremist groups or religious radicals or anything like that that you're aware of? Not to my knowledge. Brad Holder. Do you know Brad Holder? Not personally, but through the investigation, yes. Okay. And was Brad Holder a suspect? Not really, no. Oh my God.
Oh my God!
Shit. Do you remember about Brad? What do you remember about Brad Holder's involvement? Brad Holder's son, Logan Holder, was dating. I don't know if it was dating with the junior high kids, but was talking to Abby, dating Abby. He was in school at the time of the homicides. But because of that, when we looked into Brad, Brad had an alibi. I don't remember. I think he was at work, if I remember correctly. But that's how we ended up in interviewing him. Same question about the alibi. Again, I'm going to ask you if this is the same time frame that we talked about earlier, 11 to 6-ish, or you say an hour or two either way. If that's not true, when we're talking about the alibis, then would you let me know? Yes, because I'm assuming that's the time frame that you were focused on. That is. Okay, so I kind of cut you off. I'm sorry for that. So Brad Holder, you're telling me then was never really eliminated as a suspect because he wasn't? He was. I think you told me, not to be technical, but you said he wasn't really a suspect. He wasn't really a suspect because we encountered him through his son, and his son was at school, and then we ended up talking to him. And you're throwing a lot at me, and I tried to review all this, but I believe Brad Holder was at work at the landfill. He's freaking out over Brad. Here's a point I'm making. Okay, sorry to be annoying. Take note. Where you get emotional responses from these people, right? Where is he emotionally responding to Brad Holder here? And you're throwing a lot at me, and I tried to review all this, but so he's at work at which landfill? Liberty landfill. Where's that? I don't know. Okay, sure. I'm not sure. You don't know how far away from the trail it is, or no? It's just not in this county. Okay. He was at work from sometime in the morning, early in the morning. He went to work early in the morning and didn't get off until after this time frame that I'm talking about. Did you ever polygraph him? No, I don't think so. No. Did anybody, well, let me ask you this. Was he part of any, extremist groups or hate groups or all these kinds of questions I've been asking? Yes. 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 Okay, tell me about that. He was involved with another gentleman named Patrick Westfall that we found out through this investigation that was into some, in my words, some cult type. Some cult type.
It's not productive. It's kind of gross and icky. And I feel like it tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
What cult? What cult? I don't really. I don't think it's really a cult, but just a different bizarre type religion. There's only like 8 people involved where they would worship other things other than God. Whoa, this is quite a different tone from what he later said, right? Quite different. Quite a different tone than what he has to say later about this group. So let's read that again. He was in a cult. What cult? I don't think it's really a cult, but it's a different bizarre type religion where there's only like 8 people involved where they would worship other things other than God. But Patrick Westfall was non-cooperative and wouldn't really talk to us. But I believe he had an alibi. He said he was at home. Dude, If the cops ever ask you what you did, get you or your mama to say you was at home, okay? That's your damn alibi. And if when in doubt, go buy some fish. What the fuck? Okay. Control yourself, Prof. I'm losing it. Thank you, Rebecca. So Westfall and Holder. Where was Holder living at the time? I have to check the report. Somewhere local? No, Logansport area. I'm guessing Cass County. That's where her son went to high school, I believe, or middle school, or whatever. Did Logan have, I shouldn't say Logan, that was his son. Did Brad Holder have any direct contact with either one of these girls? I don't think he did. I think he knew very little about, we're talking about 13, 14-year-old in relationships. I'm not sure they were going on dates and things like that. I think they were just talking to each other. Oh, but we now know that not to be true, Mr. Holman. Not only did Brad Holder know that young girl, he encountered her or met her several times, including one time at Westfall's house, and they all lied about it. All. Remember my adage. Everybody lied. That summarizes the entire Delphi case. Okay. Everybody lied. That's Delphi in a nutshell. I'm talking about Brad Holder. That's what I'm saying, his son. It wasn't like she was over at the house all the time or they were going on dates. It was more of a communication. You know, kids these days and Snapchatting. That was their relationship. Nobody. It was more than that, my buddy. You ain't seen the pictures of them two kids together? Do you know if they were ever in the same airspace? I mean, there's a connection here. Logan Holder, Brad. You've got a suspect whose son was dating one of the girls, right? I want to make sure we're on the same page. So this isn't Jimmy Dale Duvall is what I'm talking about, right? Do you know if Brad Holder was ever in the same airspace as those girls, like they were at the same place together communicating? Where's my bullshit sound effect? He was interviewed. I don't recall him ever saying that he was with Abby and Logan when they were dating or anything like that. I don't think he really knew her, but I'd have to refer to the report to be exact. Investigation report, a strategy, unified command. And like I said, he was at work during the time frame that we're talking about. Do we know how long he worked that day? We did check, and there wasn't any video. But there was records of him clocking in and out. Okay. So if I go sign a paper and 10 hours later I come back and I sign it again, that means I'm there the entire time? Did anyone else ever communicate to you, I guess, about any of these guys? Maybe I'll go back through them. In this case, Brad Holder accepted any responsibility for this act? No. You know, that he said, hey, I was involved in this or anything about it, anything like that? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. He mighty, this dick face, okay, he's mighty protective of Brad Holder. Do you not think that do you guys find him overly protective of Brad Holder? Absolutely not. Oh. Did anyone else ever communicate to you that Brad Holder was engaged in any kind of activities that would have drawn suspicion toward him regarding these acts? No. No. What about Greg Ferenczi? Todd Click, Kevin Murphy. What about Greg Ferenczi and that crew, bro? Totally off your radar, even though you had an FBI agent, a fucking sheriff or police chief, I believe Click was at some point, and State Trooper Murphy. You had these fucking good cops presenting to you information that expressed high concern about Brad Holder, and your response that has anybody ever communicated to you any suspicion regarding this case? You say no. Okay, I'm just gonna go back as quick as I can. These last two questions I asked: anything with Jimmy Dale Duvall? No. Liebert? No. I think we covered the Kleins. That's a little bit more broad. Yeah. Ron Logan, that he was ever involved in anything suspicious? No. Or that would have caused you to believe he knew something about these crimes? No. And certainly didn't accept any responsibility for them? No, he did not. No, yes, he did. Yes, he did. Ron Logan admitted responsibility and involvement in these crimes to numerous individuals. And all of them stepped forward with that information. And several of them handed it right over to Unified Command. So why is he denying all of reality? All of this reality? Did you work with, who was the officer or officers that focused on this kind of hate crime angle? We talked about this earlier today, right? This crime scene stuff. Who were the officers that kind of spent time focusing on that aspect of the case? Talking to Purdue people, talking to FBI people. That would have been Steve Buckley and David Vito. He didn't talk to the Purdue people because that was before, but he talked to the U.S. Marshals Behavior Analysis and relayed that information that we talked about earlier to Unified Command. Anybody else that would have worked? I think the right word would be this angle of the case. Well, I mean, there was multiple troopers that thought they were Googling it, you know, experts. No, the only experts I know that were contacted were the ones that we already discussed. Okay, do you remember any other troopers that were interested in this kind of stuff? There were several. I know we had I can't think of his name, Nate. He works for Nick now. He was into some gang activities, stuff like that. We actually had him looking into some stuff for us and following up, but he never found anything. Nathan Myers? Sorry. And there was, like I said, there was other officers that had no experience, but they were, you know, going off assumptions, I guess. Do you recall Winters ever coming to you and asking about any of these hate crimes or hate groups and communicating with you about his concern? Winters? Yeah. Ryan Winters? Trooper Winters. Yes. Okay. What do you recall about that, Trooper Winters? Basically that, and I told him we were covering that angle and that we had talked to people. Yeah. What about Murphy? Murphy, not so much. What about Purdy? Purdy, he thought it was, and there was another. What do you remember about Purdy? Same thing. He thought it was. What did you tell him? Same thing that I just told you, that it was a concern, but we'd already looked into it and had professionals saying that it was not. So we're approaching a handful. We're approaching a handful of individuals. He's turning everyone away, saying that it's been looked into, and they have professionals saying that it's not that. Okay, you got a handful of concerned investigators coming to you saying, we think there's a cult or a gang angle to this crime. We're really concerned about it. We think it needs to be looked into. And you're turning each one of them away in order, saying, it's been looked into. We have professionals looking into this. Professionals say it's not, so don't worry about it. What about this officer down in Terre Haute that was unfortunately killed? Ferenczi or something. Greg. Yeah, what about him? Did he ever come to you and communicate to you that he had concerns about hate groups being involved in any of this? I don't recall if he did. Really? But I know he worked with some of us on some tips that were down there. I don't know as they were ever hate. So you don't recall Greg Ferenczi. Anything meaningful to you? Elvis Fields. Oh. So you mean Elvis Fields was meaningful to Jerry Holman at some point in time? Let's go back to it. Anything that was meaningful to you? Answer, Elvis Fields. Okay, we talked about Elvis Fields. So Greg Ferenczi and Jerry Holman talked meaningfully about Elvis Fields. Okay, anybody else? I don't recall. Maybe I already asked you this. We're going to finish with Brad Holder. Was he ever excluded as a suspect? The answer, I think, was yes. Yes. I should say this just to clarify. I don't really like your verbiage on excluded. We call it covered. We covered him. We exhausted every lead. He was at work. If we got new information on him, then we would open that back, which we've done on multiple people. So no one was ever fully excluded. We would say covered. That way, if we did get new information at this time, they're covered. But if tomorrow somebody calls and says something different, then on everybody, you're going to ask me, what? He's stumbling there. But he says, was Brad Holder covered? Covered. Jimmy Dale Duvall covered? Yes. Yes. Dave Liebert covered? Yes. Tony Klein? Yes. Kagan Klein? Yes. Ron Logan? Yes. Okay, let's talk about Rick Redhawk. Do you know Rick Redhawk? Not personally, no. Was Rick Redhawk ever a suspect in this case? We received tips on him. I think he was one of the sex offenders. We had multiple sex offenders we received tips on. I don't recall much about Rick Redhawk other than I know he was followed up on. So you don't have any independent recollection of him as you sit here today like he was excluded? That's my word. But I'm asking the question so you can use whatever word, so I can use whatever word I want. You can use it. I believe he was covered. Okay. And do you know who worked that angle of the investigation? I believe it was Tony Liggett, the county, I believe. Would Tony Liggett have been a party to conversations regarding these, what I've described as hate groups, extremist groups in the context of unified command? Yes. Would he have been a part of all that? Yes. And were those things discussed within unified command, or were those types of groups just discussed kind of on the side? Oh, it was all discussed in unified command. Rick Redhawk, any connection to Abby Libby that you can recall? I can't recall. Like I said, I don't remember much about Rick Redhawk other than I know he was on your list. So I kind of looked into it. I kind of looked into it. But I don't recall much about him. Okay, Michael David Schmidt. Do you know him? I don't remember him at all. You don't have any independent recollection of him. I reviewed some of my records. I think he was another one of the multiple sex offenders. Early on, we were hitting the sex offender list. I think that was where he was from, but I don't know much about him. How many sex offenders you got in Delphi? Thank you, Swade. Okay, so if I start asking all these other questions, you're going to give me the I don't know answer? Yes, I don't know. What? Is there anything about him other than what you just uttered that you remember as you sit here today? No, I do not. Patrick Westfall, do you know him? Yeah, we talked a little about him a little bit already. Tell me how you know him. Brad Holder was in some sort of religious group with him. Yesterday, we talked about a group called the Odinites, or maybe it was 2 days ago, I forget. Odinism or something. Yeah, the words were used. Is that what we're talking about? I think that's what his focus was on, something similar to Odinism. Him being who? Patrick Westfall. Was Patrick Westfall a suspect in this case? No, I wouldn't consider him a suspect.
Bruh.
Can you explain to me what the investigation around him would have entailed? Because we knew Brad Holder, Logan Holder, that he was involved with him, and we found out, we got tips that he was into that Odinism type religion. We kind of looked into that aspect. Kind of looked into.
I'm legally blind.
I'm legally blind. Don't ask me any hard questions and I won't give you any good answers. Bruh. Party over here. All right. We kind of looked into that. I can't even go further than the kind of doing my job. It's only two murdered little girls. What do I care? We kind of looked into that aspect, but Patrick Westfall was not cooperative. Kind of cooperative, not he was not cooperative. Like he didn't want any part of talking with the police. Nope. Did he react? Was he more than just resistant? No. He wasn't disrespectful or criminal towards us. He was just adamant that he didn't like the police and he wasn't going to talk to us. Were you able to confirm that Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall were actually connected? Yes. Brad, that there was a relationship between the two of them? Yes, Brad acknowledged that. Where is Patrick Westfall from? I don't know where he's from. What do you know about the relationship between the two of them? Very little, other than what was told was Brad was involved in that church. I call it a church. It was like 7 or 8 people that followed the same beliefs as Patrick. Those beliefs being what? The Odinism type stick formations and things like that. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh my God!
Bruh, it was our job to help.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Prof is a fucking terrorist. A fucking pedophile, sympathizing
terrorist,
fucking terrorist.
Bruh. The 7 or 8 people that follow the Odinism type stick formation, things like that. And some of the things that were of concern at the crime scene with the girls, similar, yeah. Did you ever receive information from any third parties about either one of these two guys Now, we're kind of talking about them in tandem, that they accepted any responsibility for this crime. No. Did you ever receive any information from third parties or even through law enforcement sources that either one of them were engaged in any suspicious activity that might have been connected to the crime? Nope. Look at the word. Look at the word. Nope. Do you guys believe that line number 23 on page 186? Nope. N-O-P-E? Did you receive any information from any third parties, even through law enforcement sources, that either one of them would be engaged in any suspicious activity that might have been connected? Nope. When we know that to be false, we know that to be false. They had been made aware. Nope. Did you guys personally talk to either one of these guys? No, I did not. Are you aware whether or not Patrick Westfall was connected in any way to Abby or Libby? Nope. I'm going to ask about polygraphs. He wasn't willing to even talk to you? Correct. Shut you down from the very beginning? Correct. Yes. Because he wouldn't talk to you. Did you ever communicate, or any of your staff communicate with any of his relatives or anybody connected with him to try and gather information? I believe so. I know they were actively investigating his social media and things like that to try to locate anybody that might be willing to talk to us about him at all. I don't recall. Any of that come to fruition? I don't recall. You don't say. I'd have to look back at the reports. Do you remember any conversations with Unified Command about this guy and I guess Holder again? Oh, yeah. Yes. What do you remember about those conversations that maybe we haven't already talked about? Nothing, just same thing. We would give updates on everybody. Hey, what can we do? What did we do? Things like that. Was there any connection between those two guys and anything unique at the crime scene? No, other than what we talked about. And just to clarify, what is that? The Odinism, stick formation type things, but was similar, but not exact.
Oh my God!
Bruh. Okay, how did this investigation with these two guys come to a conclusion then? Well, what do you mean, the caveman? Well, is it over? Are you still looking into this? No. We're not looking into it. There's nothing more for us to do on either one of those. They're covered? Covered. Thank you. Can't make this shit up at all. Okay. Thomas Lincoln Wallace. What can you tell me about Thomas Lincoln Wallace? Was he a suspect? I can't remember on Thomas Wallace, to be honest with you. I didn't get that far. Whoa. To be honest, isn't that usually used when you're not being honest? So you can remember Thomas Lincoln Wallace, but you choose not to go into it or to answer. I see. You don't really have any independent recollection? No, I don't. So if I asked you most of these questions, I've asked you about other people, your answer is going to be, I really can't remember anything about Thomas Wallace at this point. I'd have to, I didn't get that far in reviewing last night. I'm sorry, I tried. Brad Weber. I do recall Brad Weber. Was he a suspect? No. I wouldn't call him a suspect. No. Was he a person of interest? I hate that phrase. He was staying at the property right above the crime scene in his parents' house, but he was covered as well. In your opinion, why was he covered? He was at work. We verified work records. He said he got home around 2:30, but we think it's later than that because he got off around 2 o'clock. But then he also operates an ATM machine business. So he went and collected money from the ATMs, which would have taken a few minutes. So we think he got home a little bit later. Within your time frame, but you still didn't put a lot of credence in that. Later, he said he went home, took a nap, and woke up by the search party later in the evening, maybe around 5:30 or 6, I believe. I may be off on time. So he might have been around from 3 to 5 o'clock or so without any kind of firm alibi other than he said he was home. Absolutely.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Okay, so he said he's home. That's his alibi. Like I said, if they ever ask you some shit, you say, "Oh, I was home." Yeah, my mom will tell you. We have to read that one again. Okay, no, line number 8 here. So he might have been home. I mean, he might have been around from 3 to 5 o'clock or so without any kind of firm alibi other than he said he was home. Absolutely. Which was close to the scene. It was on what you and I are calling the Weber side. So across the creek. Any association with any hate groups or extremist groups? No. Did you ever receive any tips from any other third parties or outside parties saying, hey, this guy is someone you really need to be looking at because he did this or did that or he's acting this way? Not that I can recall. No. Daniel Nation. Do you know Daniel Nations? Personally, no. Was he a suspect? I wouldn't call him a suspect, but he was brought up because of a crime that occurred out in Colorado. What was that crime? He was on a trail and attempted to attack somebody with a hatchet or something. Was he from around here? He was from Indiana. We put him in Indiana, but we couldn't get him near Delphi. His alibi was he was with his, I don't want to call her his wife, baby mama. I don't know. His girlfriend or wife was pregnant. He was at a doctor's appointment during the time, several hours away from here. He was from Indiana, but he was down south. He's down south with his baby mama. So you think you were able to kind of clear his alibi, so to speak? Covered him with all the knowledge that we had. An investigative would have been Jay Harper, and Steve Buckley went to Colorado and interviewed him and then interviewed other people as well. Do you know if he had any connection whatsoever to either one of the girls? No, I do not. I mean, like social connection or family connection? No, we didn't find anything. That's what I mean by connection. Right. What about any kind of social media connection? No connection that we found. Derek German. Do you know Derek German? I do. That's Liberty's father. And was Derek German a suspect? No. Was he somebody that you vetted, so to speak? We interviewed him, quote unquote, because he was supposed to pick up the girls. He went there and they obviously weren't found, and he called family members and they started looking for them. He was interviewed several times. My partner was writing notes to me, and I'm sorry. Sure. My attention was divided. Tell me again what you just said. He was supposed to pick up Liberty and Abby at the trailhead at a certain time. He was working in Logansport with his mother. He's like an appraiser or something. Okay. And obviously, when he got there, they didn't show up. So he immediately started calling family members, and they went out on the trail looking for the girls. Was Derek German, ever associated with any of these hate groups, fascist groups, extremist groups? Not to my knowledge, no. Any of the ones we talked about? No. Did Derek German have a criminal history that you were aware of? Yes, he did. What can you tell me about that? My personal past histories with him was he was involved in manufacturing methamphetamine.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Bruh. I don't know exactly what he got charged with, but I know he was recently released from the DOC. Did his history cause some concerns amongst your staff about his potential involvement in the case? Some concerns, yes, but we covered most of those. Was he or did he ever work as a confidential informant for the police that you were aware of? Not that I'm aware of. Have you heard that come up before, that conversation or that comment? I have heard that, yes. You don't know the answer to that? No, he was never a confidential informant for me or anybody I work with. Yeah, but what about the feds? What about the feds, dumbass?
Oh my God.
Was he a Fed informant?
Oh my God.
Say it one more time, brother.
Oh my God.
Maybe I'm just making a mountain out of a molehill. Who knows? Bruh. I'm not making this shit up. It's something I've heard. You've heard it? It's a strong possibility, but I don't know that. Oh, what do we have here? Hello, old dumbass, the old hags of Delphi, the dumbasses, the cranks, and the family members, and the troll farm, and everybody else. Page 194. Okay, hear me out here. I'm usually kind of fair, right? Even though you don't admit it, I'm not that bad of a guy. I'm typically fair. Line number 17 on page 194. Let's hear that one again. Regarding him potentially being a confidential informant, I'm not making this stuff up. It's something I've heard. You've heard it. It's a strong possibility, but I don't know that. So, not a confidential informant for you or anyone you work with, but it's a strong possibility that you don't know the answer to. So what could that mean? Maybe not an informant for Holman or Liggett. Maybe an informant for someone else. And even Holman admits in line 17 here that it's a strong possibility. And I mean, look, the word on the street, let's be honest here. How many years have we gotten phone calls and emails from people in the community over in Delphi who tell us, yes, he was a federal confidential informant, but we don't have the proof of that, but we have some indicators, but I haven't showed those to you yet. So anyway, were you aware of any tension or friction that existed within the family at the time of these incidents that would have caused you to believe that he might have been involved in this crime? The German family? Yes. No. Or either one of the girls' families? No. Do you know if Derek German communicated with any of these other people that we talked about on this list? Like if he was associated with them? Not to my knowledge, no. Elvis Fields. You actually told me earlier you knew Elvis Fields. Who is Elvis Fields? We received a tip on him. His sister was convinced. His sister was convinced that he killed Abby and Libby. That would be Murphy, Purdy, probably Jay Harper, myself. There's a bunch of people involved in that one. Was he a suspect? I mean, we had a tip on him. Bruh. Tell me what that tip was again. His sister believed that he killed the girls. She was convinced. Who is his sister? Good question. I can't remember her name. Why did his sister believe that he killed the girls? Well, basically, she thought that he was down there. We could never put him here. We could never get any evidence. Remember what I said, the modus operandi here is it's always documented evidence to be able to build a probable cause affidavit. It's not about solving the actual crime. We could not get evidence to put him close to death. Okay, did you try? Yes, we interviewed him. We interviewed the sister. We interviewed his roommates. We interviewed multiple people. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he had a phone. I know he didn't have a vehicle or anything like that. But yeah, we tried. We exhausted every investigative lead on all these people. You said down here. I heard you say down here. Down here from where? Actually, up here. Sorry. Okay, Connorsville area, maybe. Did you personally talk to Elvis Fields? I sat in an interview with Kevin Murphy. Was Elvis Fields cooperative with your investigative team? I believe so, yes. Did you participate in any conversations with his sister? No, I did not. Was she cooperative with the team beyond giving you a tip? She was cooperative. But the investigators that talked to her were convinced that she had some mental issues. What were those? I'm trying to be nice and say mental issues. Be honest. They just said that she was crazy. Was the term, I believe, that she was just out there and none of the information was making sense that she was giving them. What was the information? Well, you'd have to ask. Kevin would know, or I'm not sure. Jay interviewed her, but it was Rich Davies too, maybe. We all went down there one day and did a lot of interviews, but I don't remember. Connorsville? I think it was Connorsville. Yeah. You went down there as a team? Home. Yes? You're shaking your head, yes? Yes, sorry. When was this? Years ago before COVID. And if you took a whole team down there, something piqued your interest, right? There's points where, we get information and we need to act fast. And there was multiple people to interview. So there was a roommate, him, a sister, a mother. So we took basically probably 2 people per interview and then maybe some extra just in case we needed to go interview some other people. And did this occur in a short period of time, kind of intense? For the team, yeah. I mean, Purdy and Murphy worked it beyond that. And before that, and when they were ready to go interview, we put together a team. We did that a lot. It's not uncommon. If there's multiple people to be interviewed, we would definitely do that quite a bit. Do you recall anybody else other than I think you said his crazy sister, providing you with information about him? There's a roommate, but he didn't have any information other than that he thought they had no transportation, no way to get down here, pretty much homeless. I think they were living in a trailer that shouldn't have been lived in, I'll say. So, so generally speaking, you went down there kind of as a unit and then you just kind of dismissed this as just not reliable. No, we continued to follow it up. Kevin did. The rest of the team moved on to other tips and leads. Was Kevin reporting to you what he was finding as he continued to follow up? Yes. What did he report to you? What I said earlier, that his sister was crazy, was unreliable, wasn't making sense, changing her story. Are you familiar with any activities that Elvis Fields engaged in himself that would have connected him in any way with this particular crime scene? No. What? No.
I'm legally blind.
Sir, Jerry Holman, what about the sticks? What about Elvis Fields consistently imitating Brad Holder's Odinist type of stick formations and rune making and all of this? Are we just going to deny that reality? Because I think the answer is yes. Again, are you familiar with any activity that Elvis Fields engaged in that would have connected him in any way with this particular crime scene? The answer is no. Was he saying or doing anything that was like, we need to focus more on him? I think that's what his sister was saying. I'm talking about him. No, he denied everything, I'm pretty sure. Garrett Kurtz. Garrett Kurtz. Do you know Garrett Kurtz? Know of him. The fuck kind of answer is that? Do you know Garrett Kurtz? Know of him. Distancing? Because everything else has been a yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. We've been through a whole list, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. Now it's know of him. Was Garrett Kurtz a suspect? We received tips on him, same thing. I would consider same thing as like multiple, but you got a few here as Daniel Nation. He committed a couple of crimes that people thought because he committed those crimes, he killed 2 girls here in Delphi as well. But he was eliminated pretty quickly.
Oh my God.
Bruh. Eliminated quickly. Alibi? I know he was interviewed by Tony Ligon and David Vito, maybe a couple of other troopers from up north. Yeah, there was never, ever, never, ever. What was the other one? Very, 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 very. Okay. Now he's saying never, ever, never, ever, never, ever. There was never, ever, ever. There was never, ever any evidence connecting him to Delphi. Well, he did have connections here, but to the crime scene, What were his connections here? He had family and friends that lived in the area. Delphi. Do you remember if he submitted to a polygraph? I think he did, as a matter of fact. And I think that was also conducted by Matt Collins, but I'll have to refer to a lot of this. I'm going off memory and summary, so I may be a little off a bit. Are you aware of any connection that Garrett Kurtz had with either of the girls? No? Whoa. Garrett Kurtz was shaboinking Michaela Babcock. That's a direct connection to the girls. How does Holman not know this? Were they with her? Remember, she's a nexus to all of these parties, right? Kyle Smith, Austin Popejoy, Kagan Klein, Garrett Kurtz, Abby and Libby. There's no way he should not know that. What about from a social media standpoint? Nope. Are you kidding me? All of us out here know those connections. Like Keegan Klein is tied to Garrett Kurtz. Garrett Kurtz is tied to Ron Logan. Garrett Kurtz is tied to Michaela. Michaela's tied to both the girls. Both the girls, it's how can we all out here know this and the lead detective not know this? Ashley Garth. Do you know Ashley Garth? That one I don't recall anything about. So if I ask you all these questions, your answer is going to be I don't know. I have no clue on that one. I could probably find some information, but I didn't have a chance. Do you know if that's a girl or a boy? I think it's related to Garrett Kurtz. I think it's a girl. I think it's his co-defendant that he killed up in Newton County. So Garrett Kurtz killed his girlfriend. I think Ashley Garth was involved in that, but I don't know. Sounds like you do know, bro. I think you do know. You don't want to answer questions about Ashley Garth. Obviously, page 201 for those paying attention, taking notes. Page 201. He don't want to answer questions about Ashley Garth. In this day and age, it's tough to tell. Yeah, I get it. It's just odd there would be a woman on here. Nick's probably mad at me for rambling on about that because that's what I believe, but can't confirm that. What? Whoa. Nick McClellan mad about
It was
what?
our job to help law enforcement.
Nick McClellan's probably mad because he's standing next to you in this room. So you're saying Nick's probably mad for rambling on that you do know Ashley Garth related to Garrett Kurtz, a girlfriend, a co-defendant that killed a woman up in Newton County, killed his girlfriend. Ashley was involved in that, but you don't know, but you do know. And now you're saying that Nick McClellan is probably mad for saying that? Boy. The truth comes out in these motherfucking documents, dude. The truth does come out. You just got to be able to watch it and read it. All right. Gabe Ellis. I don't know Gabe Ellis. I think that's probably still involved with those other two that you just mentioned. Whoa. Oh, you don't say. Gabe Ellis. Well, I don't know Gabe Ellis, but I think that's probably still involved with those other two you mentioned. You mean Ashley Garth and Garrett Kurtz? Gabe Ellis, Garrett Kurtz, Ashley Garth. You do know him, but I don't. Maybe connect. I don't recall Gabe Ellis at all. So if I ask you all those other questions, your answer is going to be I have no clue. No clue about Gabe Ellis. You have no recollection? No recollection of Gabe. No, McClellan might be mad at me for mentioning it.
Bruh.
So let me ask you this. So we've got a list here of about 17 people. Which of them do you believe may or did have ties to any kind of extremist or fascist or hate groups? Just Patrick Westphal and Brad Weber. Sorry, Brad Holder. Ron Logan, no? I don't think so. I know you're not looking at the list, so I know. So I'm going to accommodate you. Keegan Klein? No. Tony Klein? No. Liebert? No. Jimmy Dale Duvall? No. Brad Holder? No. Yes. That's a yes. Rick Redhawk? I don't know. Michael David Schmidt? Don't know. Patrick Westphal? Yes. Thomas Lincoln Wallace? Don't know. Brad Weber? No. Daniel Nation? No. Derek German? No. Elvis Fields? No. Garrett Kurtz? No. Ashley Garth? No. Gabe Ellis? No clue. Bruh. Why no clue? Why no clue on Gabe Ellis? Like, these are the things that stick out, man. Why no clue when it comes to Gabe Ellis? Again, these are kind of broad sweeping questions. But of this whole group of people, you've mentioned that Holder and Westphal were more connected. And you thought that Kurtz, Garth, and Ellis may be connected. Possibly. This is not a matching game, right? I get it. Are there any other players here that I mentioned that you think are connected with some other person on this list? Just Tony and Keegan. Okay. Yeah, right. That's a good point. So Tony and Keegan, right? And other than that, the only other connections would be Holder and Westphal, and then possibly Fields, Kurtz. I'm sorry. Possibly Kurtz, Garth, and Ellis. Kurtz, Garth, and Ellis. Correct. Correct. Kurtz, Garth, and Ellis. So you may want to look at the list just to make sure. I trust you. Okay, that's dangerous. Give me a few seconds here. Sure. I was thinking about Stephanie Thompson for actually other reasons earlier, and it kind of popped back in my head. She was involved in this case, right? Yes. And my understanding was she was doing polygraph exams. Yes. Was she doing anything? Which technique was she using? I'm just curious. The preferred technique that the state police teaches? I don't know what it's called. All right. Was she doing anything else in terms of investigating this particular crime? Like, kind of typical investigative work? No. Groundwork? No. We just utilize her in the polygraph. With regard to these suspects that I mentioned, that's my word, 17 of them. Did you ever polygraph any one of these, anyone associated with these people? So, like, if somebody's wife came in to you and said, my husband was responsible for this, did you conduct any polygraphs kind of at a second level, if you will? On that list? No. Do you want me to read the names again? No, I'm familiar with the list. We've done that. Okay, tell me for who. I know we interviewed or polygraphed a guy's mother. You're going to have to give me a minute of it. I'll think of it. I'll text you at 2 a.m. How's that? I don't give out my personal number. It's too dangerous. What the fuck? Bruh. Oh my God. Rossi is that little motherfucker can be hilarious at times. I'll text you at 2 a.m. How's that? I don't give up my personal number. It's too dangerous. Give me a minute. I'll think of the name. But somebody's mother, you started there. Yes. Was it a local, or do you know if it was somebody from afar? It was, I believe, over in the Kokomo area. Do you remember in this circumstance why you did it? Kenneth Johnson. Kenneth Johnson? I believe so. What was it? Why was Kenneth Johnson's mother being polygraphed. Kenneth Johnson worked at Indiana Packers, took the day off. He was getting disciplined for pulling a pig's ear. For what? What? Pulling a pig's ear? That wasn't an expression? You're talking literally? Yeah, yes. Okay, go ahead. Pulling a pig's ear. So there were some other people involved in an investigation, and they thought he was a registered sex offender. So they polygraphed him, and it was inconclusive. Another one. His alibi was his mother. Another one. Polygraphed his mother, and she passed and said he was at home during the time frame. And then non-preferred technique or preferred? Preferred technique. And then he was re-polygraphed later by Matthew Collins. I can't remember who did the first one, but he passed the second one. His mother passed the first one. The only time you kind of went second level here in terms of polygraph that I can remember, yeah. Okay, let's take a break. I mean, pulling the pig's ear. Hey, Dr. Corbo, is Dr. Corbo still around? Can we please find a can we find an esoteric meaning of pulling a pig's ear? There's got to be some explanation. So apparently, at the pig slaughterhouse, you can do a lot of things, but one thing you cannot do is pull a pig's ear. Now, what's funny about that, did any of you recognize that name, Kenneth Johnson? It wasn't one of those in the list that he named, so it's funny that Holman pulls that out of the ethers, right? Just let me see. Give me a second here. Got to do some things without crashing my stream, hopefully. All right, let's see. Well, I think I've come to the limit of my being able to. Yeah, let's pull that name back up. Just Kenneth Johnson from the Packers. Kenneth Johnson's mother. He was getting disciplined for pulling a pig's ear. Oh my God, man. Well, anyhow, listen. There are many jokes I could make. I'm going to refrain from saying anything further about tugging or pulling on anything or anything of a pig or any pigs. But okay. I'm at the limit of my ability to keep reading. Yeah, my eyes are tired and my voice is tired. So we'll pause there because another break is taken there. And we'll pick it up on part 4 next time. We'll pick up from there, okay, from this point forward. So that'll be the end of this portion of the deposition. But I think that covered the most interesting thing. Like we went thoroughly through that entire list of suspicious individuals who have been repeatedly named over the years in this case. And so that was pretty interesting to go through that stuff. And I think there are some tidbits that we extracted from that tonight. So hopefully, for those of you who just sat here and were totally engaged in the chat, you might want to replay that section of the read through, because there were many good tidbits that we extracted from there that are things to keep in mind. And I know there'll be even more in the next one, because they get deeper into the crime itself in the next segment that we'll be covering. But I think like the most immediate thing that sticks out in my mind is the lack of thoroughness, the totally negligence, the total negligence of this entire investigation, right? All of those instances I called out where he didn't know anything. He claimed not to know anything. He didn't research anything. He accepted all the alibis at face value and blah, 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 blah. Just a total lack of due diligence. And you're talking about the lead investigator. Remember, they didn't even discuss that very first point that surfaced was that they didn't even think about or discuss the possibility that the voice and the shadows and the possible other people in that recording were other people. They didn't even consider that it could have been someone else. And like I said, I've done faculty meetings. Not only just that, I've done other types of fucking meetings at other jobs. You know, you have a random fucking job in your 20s, you're going to have meetings. You're going to have more substantial meetings at random jobs you might have than these guys were having over double murder of 2 kids. And they're discussing the most important piece of evidence, and they're not exploring that possibility. They're not even discussing it. Like, for me, it's obscene to consider that they would, when you have the number one piece of evidence on this case, that bridge guy video, quote unquote, that they made so much over the years, the primary piece of evidence, they don't even discuss the possibility that there's other people in the background here. How does that not get discussed? I mean, you're not dealing with a bunch of sleuths online. You're not dealing with a bunch of teachers in the teachers' lounge. You're dealing with the lead investigators at all of the respective agencies that are involved in this, all together in meetings, which they are calling Unified Command. Several agencies on several different levels, different tiers, and the highest person on this case at each agency, all gathered in a room at a table discussing things, and they don't discuss this piece of evidence in that way? Does no one else find it absurd? Like, so much worse than we thought. Because I always thought this was a fucking total circus and a joke. I thought it was a bunch of clowns, but also a bunch of evil motherfuckers covering shit up. Kind of a combination of the two. But even I didn't suspect that it was this limp-dicked of an investigation, quote unquote. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. And with the same lack of due diligence, they manufactured some evidence and compiled it on a guy. And in the same way that it's the totality of evidence that cleared Ron Logan and cleared Keegan Kline and Tony Kline and this one and Garrett Kurtz and Ashley Garth and all these others, they use that same concept of there's not any really one thing, but it's the totality of that makes Richard Allen guilty. And they brainwash the media or the people who were speaking on their behalf. They gave them those talking points to go forward with that, so that even during trial and immediately after trial, pre-sentencing, they had the troll farm out here, or those prosecution shills, as we call them, going and repeating those very same talking points, that it's the totality of evidence or circumstances that convinced them of Richard Allen's guilt. Or They even had the family say that. Remember, the family said that in the little Rafael Lopez 5-minute interview that they had to turn the comments off on YouTube because that comment section got absolutely blasted. It got ratioed where you had 85-95% of people like blasting the shit out of them. So they had to turn off the comments. But even the family could not say that they were convinced of his guilt or that there was one big piece of evidence. They had to say it just like Holman just said, and just like these state actors were saying that, no, it's not really one thing. It's kind of the totality of circumstances that convince us that he's guilty. They proved that Bridge Guy killed the girls, and they proved that Richard Allen was Bridge Guy. Therefore, Richard Allen killed the girls, which is absolutely insane. Any of you who can think for yourselves have any logical reasoning at all, you all know that's absolutely insane. It was never proven. There's zero indication or proof that Bridge Guy killed the girls. There's actually evidence to the contrary. If you take Ron Logan and Keegan Kline's own words, and there's zero proof that Richard Allen is Bridge Guy. There's actually the opposite, because all indicators are that he is not Bridge Guy, because the person that appeared to be Bridge Guy in both sketches do not appear to be Richard Allen. All the various witness descriptions do not describe Richard Allen at all, who you would describe as a short, tubby man or whatever, a short, chubby man, or a short, pudgy man, or a short, older man, or something. You would definitely say short first thing out of your mouth. All the descriptions did not say that. They said the opposite. They all differed. The sketches differed. Nothing matches Richard Allen. Even Richard Allen don't match Richard Allen or to being at the time and place that they say he was there, because he says that he said he was there earlier, and they say that he said he was there later. So absolutely nothing fits, okay? None of these puzzle pieces connect, which is absolutely insane. None of it connects. But they will go to these extreme leaps of logic to make it work. They will assume that the person captured on this mysterious video killed the girls. They will assume that he's the only one in there and that there's not others. And to the extent that they didn't even ever fucking discuss it among the team. They'll assume that Richard Allen is that guy. It's just an incredible chain of inconceivable leaps of logic that you have to string together to be able to accept that. And it's documents like this. And remember, this is a transcript of a videotaped deposition given under oath. So it's documents like this that give us just a little insight into the inner workings. Because trust me, everybody lied. No one will ever tell you the truth from this group. So all you can get is these little glimmerings of the truth, which is what you're getting here. Because it's giving you just a slightest peek into this moment in space and time where he was put in the hot seat. A tape recorder was put on, or video recorder was turned on, and he was under oath, and he knew he had to answer those questions in some sort of way to avoid some prosecution in the future. Which doesn't necessarily mean totally honest, but it means somewhat technically unimpeachable responses. And if that gives you any sort of that little glimpse that you get into this gives you any indication, it's the indication that this was an absolute fucking shit show, a circus. I would guarantee that the majority of you out there have done 100 to 1,000 times more work on this case than any of those mentioned, period. I would bet that most people watching know 100 times more than any of these people intimately involved in this investigation, period. And that should send shivers down to your bone. Remember, I said he got a ritual sentence, 130 years, 13013. They attempted to announce his verdict at 213, and only the grace of God and a train passing stopped that from happening by minutes. But if they can come together and do this to one person, they can do it to any person, and they will. So I would hope that no matter what happens out here in this world, that all of you in your own worlds continue moving forward with this story. You know, I've said before, I'm personally tired of it. I am absolutely exhausted from discussing this thing. I really don't want to discuss it anymore, but I wish that the whole world would, so I don't have to. You know, if half of you in the chat right now made channels and did what I do, go live all the time and talk about this, make posts on social media, talk about this, then I wouldn't have to. I could rest. I think all these people out here that chased behind Karen Reed and chased behind Brian Kohlberger and chased behind, I don't know, all these high profile cases, I wish that they would chase behind this case with the same amount of energy. This case could use 10 times the number of creators. We could use, I don't know, I'd love to see like 15 new awesome creators come onto this case and run with it. Critical analysis. We really need a lot more help. So, anyway, I think I've pleaded with you enough, but please, guys, do more. Do more. Find good creators, find good voices, and go ahead and bring them into the fold. We need creators covering this case exhaustively, not controlling the narrative, but uncovering the narrative. Okay, so God bless you all. I'm extremely tired in the voice, so I'm going to get out of here. I feel fine mentally, but I can't keep talking. It's been a good 3 hours of talking. So anyhow, I want to thank everyone who's been here. You guys are always so amazing. I know the chat was popping off. I didn't even get to put any on the screen, but I will next time. So please, if you're on the replay, do me a favor, support the channel at our pathways. Leave comments down below. I love the comments. Okay. Also be aware, I have an awesome Substack that I'm going to be consistently posting interesting articles. And there's a little Twitch channel that most Thursdays I will do little Twitch streams that are more informal to hang out with you guys. This yesterday didn't work out because my computer was not working properly, but I got it all back up and running, or it might have been my Twitch that wasn't working. But the point I'm making is that this episode 3, hopefully we'll just have one more to finalize and finish this deposition. And that'll be the next episode, Delphi, Jerry, and the Truth, Part 4. So if you're here watching, please ensure that you go watch parts 1 and 2. And this is part 3. And then make sure you catch part 4, because these are very, very, very damning points that we're bringing out in this. It's incredible information. And it confirms a lot of what we suspected all these years, which shows that we're not too far off, right? We're not so far off, and we know it. Anyhow, if you're interested in contacting me in any way, check the link tree that's posted in the About Me section. You'll find my email address. I always love to hear from everybody. And like I said, support the channel, leave a comment if you're on the replay, and go watch some other content. We've done a lot of nice work here. Anyway, let me say goodbye to my people here before we leave. That's Hebby, Heather B. What's up, Hebby? Nicole Watt, Miss Pie Crust, Critter Mama, Bezo Jones, Carol. You getting rowdy, Carol? Sweet Dude Shibby, Brenda Mays, Trial Junkie, Lisa, Lazandra Lee, ACV, Dirty Diana, Becky B33, Pie Crust, Critter Mama, Mino Dino. Who else is here? Mother of Maesters. Swade Smith. Hey, Swade. Carrie Sullivan. Shane Wow. Dom S. Fur Baby Daddy's here. Spirit in the Night. Rebecca Ann. Oh, man. That's about as far as I'm going to go. Anyone else wants me to say hello, make sure you say hello right now. Yeah, y'all. Special shout out while they're doing that. Special shout out to Rebecca Ann with the $9.99 super chat. Please support the channel. Send some super chats. $9.99 super chat. Rebecca Ann. Thank you, Prof and chat. Thank you, sweetheart. And $1.99 Swade Smith. Look at beautiful Swade Smith. Thank you for the $1.99 beautiful Swade Smith. Awesome. That's so nice, y'all. Who else we got here? Anybody else I missed? Rotting Jules. Support with Steffa. Yolanda Pink Rosie. I'm probably skipping people. I apologize, but try to catch you as I see you here. All right. Let's see. Nicole Watt says, don't forget to hit that like on the way out. Good. Thanks for the reminder. Okay. All right. Yeah. We're all good to go. Go, Granny D. Hey, Granny D. Didn't miss you. Thank you. Granny D, Bezo Jones. All right. Brenda. Trial Junkie. Critter Mama. All my favorites. Okay. I love you. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for being here. Let me see. Thought I got a text. Nope. All right. Hey, Heather Hebby BB. Hebby. Thank you for the super chat, Hebby. All right. All right, y'all, and please subscribe to everybody who's in the chat. You know, Rotting Jules, In Light in the Dark, Dirty Diana, 4 Pitbulls Across America, Daisy Ass. Go subscribe to all my friends' channels, please. All right. And with that being said, catch y'all later. I'm out of here. Extremely tired. So see y'all next time. Happy Saturday.
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
Bruh.
It's not productive. It's kind of gross and icky. And I feel like it tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
Prof is a fucking terrorist. A fucking pedophile, sympathizing fucking terrorist.
It was our job to help law enforcement. It was our job to help law enforcement. It was our job to help law enforcement. It was our job to help law enforcement.
Prof is a fucking terrorist. A fucking pedophile, sympathizing fucking terrorist.
It's not productive. It's not productive.
Fuck you.
It's not productive.
Fuck you.
Prof is a fucking terrorist.
It's not productive. It's kind of gross and icky.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
It's not productive. It's kind of gross and icky.
Fuck you.
Oh my God!
It's not productive. It's kind of gross and icky. And I feel like it tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone. It's not productive. It's kind of gross and icky. And I feel like it tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.